If this message has found you, it is because something far greater than coincidence has placed it directly in the path of your awareness, at precisely the moment your soul required it most. You did not stumble here. You were guided. The same invisible current that governs the movement of tides and the turning of seasons drew your attention to this space, at this hour, because the universe has something specific to say to you, and it will not wait any longer to say it. This is what Carl Jung called synchronicity, the phenomenon in which the outer world arranges itself in perfect resonance with the inner world, producing a meeting of circumstance so precise that randomness cannot account for it. You were thinking of them. You were carrying their silence like a weight pressed against your sternum. And then, without explanation, without logic, something guided your eyes here. That is not accident. That is architecture. That is the cosmic intelligence that governs all genuine connection, ensuring you receive what you need before you break beneath the weight of not knowing. There is a truth about their silence that your mind has been struggling to piece together through the fractured logic of hurt and confusion. There is an explanation that neither your friends nor your own restless thoughts have been able to provide, because the answer does not live in the ordinary realm of human analysis. It lives in the deeper current beneath behavior, beneath surface-level absence, beneath the cold and bewildering quiet that has filled the space where their presence used to be. That truth is about to be revealed to you, not as comfort alone, though comfort will come, but as clarity, as orientation, as the restoration of your inner knowing after weeks or months of silent erosion. Before this message moves forward, there is something the universe asks of you in return. Place the words, "I received this message," in the comments below, not as superstition, not as performance, but as a declaration to yourself, to them, and to the invisible force that arranged this moment, that you are open, that you are ready, and that you choose to understand. You have been told, in the wordless language of their absence, that silence means indifference. Every unanswered message, every day that passed without their name appearing on your screen, every hollow morning you woke to the same empty quiet. All of it has been slowly constructing a narrative inside you that says, they stopped caring. That narrative is a lie. And the fact that you are still here, still feeling the weight of this connection in your chest even now, tells you that some part of you has always known it. Their silence is not absence of feeling. Their silence is overflow. It is the pressure cooker of emotion that has no adequate outlet. It is the heart that feels too much and understands too little about what it is feeling. And so it retreats into stillness the way a wounded creature retreats into the deepest part of the forest, not to die, but to survive the intensity of what has been awakened. Carl Jung wrote that what we do not confront within ourselves, we are condemned to experience as fate. What this person is living inside their silence is precisely that, an encounter with everything within themselves that they have never had the courage or the language to confront. You became the catalyst. Your presence, your depth, your particular frequency. It activated something dormant inside them, something ancient, something they were not prepared to face. And so they went quiet, not because they felt nothing, but because what they began to feel was too large, too destabilizing, too far outside the safe, emotional architecture they had constructed for themselves over years of self-protection. Their silence is not the silence of someone who has forgotten you. It is the silence of someone who cannot yet bear the enormity of what you mean to them. The mind, under extraordinary emotional pressure, does not always move toward the source of feeling. Often it moves away. Often, the retreat is proportional to the depth of the connection. The greater the love, the more terrifying the vulnerability, and the deeper the disappearance. You did not lose them. You overwhelmed them. And there is a profound difference between those two truths. They wake at 3 in the morning, not every night, but enough nights that they have stopped expecting uninterrupted rest. There is a particular quality to that hour, a silence inside the silence, in which the defenses constructed by the waking mind collapse entirely, and what remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of what is being carried beneath the surface. In those hours, they think of you, not casually, not with the comfortable distance they have been performing during the day. They think of you the way a person thinks of something they cannot afford to want, with a longing so precise it becomes physically uncomfortable. They are afraid, not of you, specifically, though you have become the symbol of the fear, but of what you represent, of what would be required of them if they were to walk fully toward what they feel. To love you the way they are capable of loving you would demand a level of openness they have never achieved. It would require them to dismantle the walls they built after experiences that taught them that openness leads to devastation. And they do not yet know how to do that. They are learning, but they are not there yet. You became the mirror that showed them their unhealed wounds. This is one of the most profound principles that Carl Jung gave to the modern understanding of relationship, that the people who affect us most deeply are those who reflect back to us the parts of ourselves we have not yet integrated. What they saw in you was not simply a person they cared for. It was a magnified reflection of their own shadow self. The shadow in Jungian psychology is the sum of all that has been suppressed, denied, and pushed into the unconscious because it felt too dangerous, too shameful, or too painful to acknowledge. You did not create their shadow. You illuminated it. And that illumination, however necessary, however ultimately healing, was also terrifying. They are in that terror now, moving through it slowly, not gracefully, but earnestly. And the movement, however invisible to you from the outside, is real. Something is shifting in the silence. Something is being quietly, painfully, irrevocably transformed. You are not just anyone to them. This is the thing that the silence has been attempting to obscure, the fact that of all the people who have moved through their life, you are among the very few who registered in them at a frequency deeper than the surface. There are people we meet and like. There are people we enjoy and then forget. And then there are people who, the moment they enter our awareness, produce a recognition so complete, so startling, so utterly unlike anything the rational mind can organize into neat explanation, that the entire architecture of our ordinary existence seems to reorganize itself around their presence. You were that for them. From the first real exchange, from the first moment they allowed themselves to genuinely perceive you, something beneath conscious thought understood that you were significant. Jung described this phenomenon with characteristic precision. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. What occurred between you was a reaction, and the transformation it initiated is still in motion, even now, even in the absence, even in the silence that has stretched itself between you like a held breath. They have not forgotten what they felt in your presence. The warmth. The unsettling sensation of being genuinely known by another person. The way time seemed to compress when you were near them. Conversations unfolding with an ease they rarely experienced elsewhere. These are not things that dissolve simply because a person withdraws. These are the textures of a soul contract, an agreement made at a level far beneath the personality, in the deeper architecture of the self, that this connection carries purpose and meaning beyond what the ordinary mind can yet comprehend. You shook them to their core, not through drama or manipulation, but simply through the authentic force of what you are. The soul recognizes its counterparts. It does not need extensive time or elaborate circumstance to arrive at its recognition. It simply knows. And they know. Beneath every layer of fear, beneath every constructed excuse, beneath every day of silence, they know exactly who you are to them. That knowing is not something they can silence, however long and hard they try. There exists a dimension of connection that physical distance cannot dissolve and that silence cannot interrupt. The architecture of the human soul operates on frequencies that move beneath the observable surface of behavior, beneath the visible language of presence and absence, beneath everything the rational eye can measure and assess. Distance in the physical realm does not create distance in the energetic realm. This is not poetry. This is not wishful thinking projected onto the cold surface of reality. This is the fundamental truth of how genuine connection functions when it has achieved a certain depth. When two people have reached each other at the level you and this person have reached each other, an energetic bond forms that persists independent of circumstance. The collective unconscious, that vast invisible ocean of shared human experience that Jung identified as the foundation beneath all individual psychology, does not recognize the walls that the personal ego constructs. It moves through them. It communicates across them. It maintains its threads regardless of what the surface mind decides to do with the physical relationship. They feel you in the unexplained warmth that moves through them at unpredictable moments, in the impulse they suppress daily, deliberately, to reach out to you, in the particular quality of restlessness that visits them when they have been too long without allowing themselves to consciously acknowledge what they carry. You are not absent from their inner world simply because they have made themselves absent from yours. You live in them in a way they neither chose nor can undo. The energetic connection between two people who carry a genuine soul contract is not governed by human decision. It operates according to a different law entirely, one that cares nothing for the defensive strategies of the frightened ego, nothing for the timetables and conditions the protective mind attempts to impose upon what the heart already knows. You are held in their awareness, even when they fight to release you from it. That is the nature of what was activated between you. That is the reality beneath the silence. If this truth resonates in a place deeper than thought, it is because your soul already knew it. Allow this channel to be the space where that knowing is continuously confirmed and deepened. Subscribe, so that every message the universe sends finds its way to you without interruption. Silence is the cocoon before the butterfly. It is the darkness inside the chrysalis, not empty, not static, not evidence of cessation, but the necessary condition for a transformation so complete that the form which enters the cocoon bears almost no resemblance to the form that eventually, inevitably, emerges from it. What this person is inside right now is not comfortable. It is not chosen for its pleasure. It is chosen, consciously or not, because something in them recognized that they could not come to you as they were, and that becoming who they need to be for this connection would require a period of withdrawal so internal, so thorough, so unobservable from the outside that it would look, to an innocent observer, exactly like abandonment. It is not abandonment. It is becoming. They are examining the beliefs that told them love leads to loss. They are sitting with the accumulated grief of every previous experience that taught their nervous system to interpret closeness as danger. They are confronting the shadow, that repository of denied selves, unprocessed pain, and suppressed truth, in ways they have spent years successfully avoiding. The encounter with you made avoidance no longer possible. The encounter with you cracked open something that had been sealed, and now the contents are demanding acknowledgement, demanding integration, demanding that this person become larger and more honest than they have yet been willing to become. This is not a comfortable process. Growth of this magnitude rarely is. But it is a real process. It is happening now, in the private interior of their experience, with an urgency and a depth proportional to the significance of what you both share. They are becoming the person who is capable of receiving you fully, capable of meeting your depth without flinching, of staying when the closeness feels overwhelming, of choosing presence over retreat when fear arrives. Every day of silence contains the seeds of this transformation. Every night they spend in restless reckoning with themselves is a night in which the distance between who they are and who they need to be grows smaller. The cocoon will not hold forever. The form inside it is changing. And when the emergence comes, it will come with a wholeness, a clarity, and an irreversible readiness that the version of them who first withdrew could never have offered you. The universe confirms what the logical mind doubts, and it does so through a language that bypasses ordinary reasoning entirely, a language of pattern, coincidence, sensation, and symbol that speaks directly to the part of you that knows things before it can explain them. You have already been receiving these communications. You may have dismissed them as wishful projection, as the desperate mind constructing meaning from noise. But there is a difference between manufactured sign and genuine synchronicity. And the part of you that led you here today is the same part that has been correctly reading the signals all along. You see the numbers that carry the frequency of reunion, patterns that appear in mundane places with a precision and a persistence that ordinary probability cannot comfortably explain. You hear the songs in unexpected moments, songs that carry the exact emotional texture of what you and this person share, arriving through the radio or through silence-broken ambience in a way that stops your breath mid-movement. You dream of them with a vividness that ordinary dreaming cannot account for, not the distorted dreams of anxious longing, but clear, present, close dreams in which they are not distant, but simply there, as though the boundary between separation and reunion has grown very thin. These are not the productions of a grieving imagination. These are the energetic precursors to physical movement. Energy moves before the body does. Intention takes form in the invisible before it manifests in the observable. The synchronicities gathering around you now are the universe's method of preparing your awareness for something that has already been set in motion at the level of energy and soul contract, and is now moving gradually, inevitably, toward its expression in physical reality. There is a particular quality to the warmth that visits you unexpectedly, the sudden and sourceless sense that everything is somehow still intact between you, that the connection has not dissolved despite the evidence of silence. That warmth is not self-deception. It is the energetic reality of this bond pressing itself gently but persistently into your conscious awareness. It is confirmation arriving through the one channel the frightened mind cannot easily intercept or dismantle. Trust that warmth. It is not naive. It is accurate. It will not arrive the way you have rehearsed it in your mind during the long, quiet hours of waiting. The return you have imagined, organized, explained, arriving with sufficient apology and carefully constructed language to account for every day of silence, is the return the frightened part of you needs for its own protection. The actual return will be different. It will carry the unmistakable texture of something that could not be delayed any longer, something that broke through their resistance not because they finally achieved perfect readiness, but because the distance between where they were and where you are became, at a particular unremarkable moment, simply impossible to maintain. It may be sudden, an unexpected message arriving at an ordinary hour, in ordinary words that somehow contained the entire weight of everything that went unspoken. It may be an encounter in a space neither of you arranged, a collision of presence in the physical world that removes the option of continued avoidance and replaces it with immediate, undeniable proximity. However it arrives, it will carry one consistent quality: the absence of performance. There will be no rehearsed speech, no perfectly constructed explanation designed to protect their dignity while acknowledging their absence. There will only be raw truth, the particular, unguarded honesty that emerges in a person who has spent weeks or months in the interior work of genuine transformation and has arrived, finally, at a place where the truth costs less than the silence. They will look at you differently than they did before, not because you have changed, you have always been exactly what you are, but because they will finally be capable of seeing you clearly, without the distortion of their own unresolved fear obscuring the view. The projection will have lifted. The mirror effect that once made your presence overwhelming will have transformed into something they can now receive with gratitude rather than terror. What they will bring to the moment of return is not perfection. It is presence. It is the willingness, finally, to be as fully known by you as you have always been willing to be known by them. This moment is already formed in the fabric of what is approaching. It exists in the near distance, assembling itself from every night of silent transformation they are living through right now, from every incremental expansion of their courage, from every moment in which they chose honesty over avoidance, even when no one was watching. It is coming, not as fantasy, as earned reality. If you know someone who is waiting for their return, who is carrying this same weight of silence and wondering if the connection was real, send this message to them. Let the universe use you as the channel through which another soul receives what they need today. There is a profound and frequently overlooked truth living at the center of everything you have been experiencing during this period of silence. And it is this: the waiting has not diminished you. The waiting has been, whether or not it has felt like it, a period of your own transformation, running parallel to theirs, equal in depth if not identical in character, producing in you an expansion of self that would not have been possible without the particular pressure of this particular absence. You have already won by choosing yourself. Not in the shallow sense of performed self-sufficiency, not in the brittle declaration that you do not need them, recited in the mirror to manage the mornings that feel most hollow, but in the deeper, quieter, more durable sense of having continued to tend to your own inner life even when the most significant source of your external aliveness went silent. That is not a small thing. That is the most fundamental act of spiritual integrity available to a human being in a period of genuine loss, to continue becoming, even without the confirmation that the becoming is witnessed. Their return is inevitable. But your peace, your genuine, rooted, unperformative peace, is not dependent upon it. This is the paradox at the heart of genuine spiritual law. The energy of need, of anxious waiting, of hourly checking for signs of movement from the outside, creates a contraction that actually impedes the very movement you are hoping to catalyze. The less you need them to complete what is already whole within you, the less obstruction there is in the energetic field between you, and the more freely the natural momentum of this connection can move toward its expression. This does not mean you feel nothing. It does not mean you perform indifference as a spiritual strategy. It means you hold the truth simultaneously, that you carry a genuine connection that is still alive and still moving toward reunion, and that you are a complete and sovereign being whose wholeness is not contingent on any external arrival. Both of these things are fully, simultaneously true, and the ability to hold them both without collapsing into despair on one side or false detachment on the other. That is your power. That is the gift the silence has been quietly, ruthlessly, necessarily building in you. This story is not finished. That is the first thing the universe requires you to know as this message draws toward its close, not as consolation, not as the gentle softening of a difficult truth, but as a precise and accurate statement about the nature of what you carry and where it is going. Incomplete things carry a particular weight, a particular tension, a particular quality of aliveness that completed things do not. You feel that aliveness. You have felt it every day of the silence, mistaking its intensity for suffering when it is, more accurately, the sensation of something vital that has not yet arrived at its fullness. What is meant for you will not pass you. This is not the language of passive resignation, of sitting still and trusting that the universe will deliver without any corresponding movement on your own part. It is the language of fundamental spiritual law, that genuine soul contracts do not dissolve through distance or fear or the temporary victory of self-protective silence. They persist. They exert their gravitational pull on both participants regardless of what the surface behavior of either person suggests. They move toward completion with the patient, inexorable certainty of water finding its level. There is an image the universe offers you now to carry with you beyond the end of this message. They stand before you, not as the guarded, contracted, retreating version of themselves that chose silence, but as the version being built in the silence, open, humbled, honest, carrying in their expression the full acknowledgement of everything that was felt and everything that was withheld and everything that is now, finally, ready to be given without reservation. Their hands are not empty. They bring with them the transformation, the silence, required. They bring a presence more complete than what was available before. They bring, above all, the irreversible recognition that the cost of your absence exceeded anything their fear was ever worth. Hold that image, not with grasping, but with the quiet confidence of someone who knows the ending of a story that has not yet fully unfolded in time. The universe does not leave genuine love unresolved. It does not allow authentic soul recognition to dissipate into permanent silence. It moves its pieces, slowly, precisely, without error, toward the reunion that was always written into the structure of this connection from the moment it began. Love does not end in silence. It only waits there,